Good evening and welcome to the another session of C++ lecture series. In today's session, uh, we'll solve this problem: design C++ classes with static members, methods and default arguments, and friend functions. For example, design matrix and vector class with static allocation and a friend function to do matrix vector multiplication. Basically, this is a lab problem from Uttarakhand Technical University syllabus that I am going to solve. In the previous video, we have already discussed the various uses of static keyword. In this particular example, we are asked to design C++ classes with static members, default arguments, and friend functions. We are also asked to create matrix and vector classes and do their multiplication. Matrix and vector classes and do their multiplication. So before proceeding further, I would like to discuss with you the default arguments and friend function first, so that the code becomes familiar to you. Uh, default argument is what? If we declare some function like this, uh, suppose void abc int a int b is equal to 10. Now in this particular functions, you can see we are passing two arguments, and the one argument is initialized with some value, in our case 10. So this is the default value. This is basically the default argument. If we do not supply, suppose I call this function like this, abc 1020, and I also call it like this 10. In first case, this 20 will be overridden, this 20 will override this value 10, and in the second case, when we are not supplying the second argument, that is 20, uh, the default argument will take the value of b. So this is how default arguments work. If we do not supply the uh, sufficient number of arguments, the program will take the function will take the default arguments. Now let's talk about the friend function. Friend function. In our program, we can have friend function and friend class also. We can also have a friend class. Basically, why do we use friend function or friend class? When we declare a class, our class members can have three types of visibility. We can have private members, we can have protected members, and we can have public members in a class. So basically, if I in if in our program we have three classes like this. This is class A, class B, and class C. Then the private members of class A are only visible inside this class, inside the class A. We cannot use private members of class outside this class. Means if we try to create the object of class A, in class B and try to access the private member of class A, there will be error. Public members we can use anywhere using the object of the class. Protected members can only be accessed in its own class as well as in the subclass. In the subclass means if this class B inherits, if class B inherits class A, then we can use we can use protected members of class A here, right? So we just discussed that we have three types of access modes in a class: private members, protected members, and public members. Private members are only visible inside its own class. Protected members are visible inside its own class as well as in the subclass. And public members are accessible everywhere. We can use it using object of class. Let me write it. Private members are only accessible in its own class. I will make a separate video on this. Protected members are accessible in its own class and subclass, and public members are accessible everywhere, right? So now if you understand the difference between private, protected, and public, let's talk about the friend function. Friend function, we just discussed that we cannot use private members of the class outside the class. But if we explicitly declare a function as friend of that class, like this, friend void show, then we can use inside this show method, we can use the public, we can use the private members of the class. If we declare this inside class A, then this known member function show can use the private and protected members of class A, right? I will make a separate detailed video on friend functions. We can declare a friend class also, like this, friend class B. If we declare a class as friend of another class, that class, inside that class we can use all the variables of uh, that class, be it private, protected, public, any type of variables. Like a function can be friend of two class also. The same function can be friend of n number of classes. So we'll discuss this in detail in another video. But today, in this particular video, I am here to solve this particular programming problem. Let me copy this. This problem is basically the first program of C++ programming lab affiliated with the YouTube curriculum. So basically what we are going to do, how we are going to solve this, we will create two classes here. One class is class matrix and the another class is class vector. We already know a two-dimensional array is known as matrix and one-dimensional array is known as vector, right? So we'll take some size, we'll take a constant, static constant size, constant variable, static constant and size, and declare the size of matrix 3. We basically want to create a 3 into 3 matrix, and here we'll create 1 into 3 matrix, or we can say 3 into 1 matrix. So it will be like this one. We'll have a constructor in both the classes. Those who don't know constructor, what is constructor? Constructor is a special method that is invoked automatically when we create the object of the class. It is basically used to initialize the variables. So this will use one constructor that will initialize our matrix with default values. Like we will have a constructor to initialize our matrix with default values. Here also we'll do the same, and we'll basically have two constructors. We can have one constructor or one set method, or two constructors. In the second constructor, or suppose set matrix method, we'll have set matrix method. Here we'll pass a matrix, say value, and value of size, whatever size we have defined here, size 3. So size. Here also we'll use set vector method, int value size. So we'll initialize our matrix with this value, we'll initialize our vector with this value. So far we have not done anything special. We have simply created two classes. I am writing steps. Create two classes, matrix and vector, right? Create constructors in both the classes and initialize the matrix and vector class with default values, that is 0, right? And let's create one method in both the classes. Create method set matrix in matrix class to initialize the matrix, and set vector class, set vector method, sorry, to initialize the vector, right? Now the we will create a friend function in both the classes. We'll create a friend function which will return vector, object of type vector, multiply, and inside this we will pass, basically what we are trying to do, we have to multiply the matrix with the vector, so we need to pass the reference of matrix and vector. This friend function we need to create in both the classes, declare in both the classes. One thing we have missed, display method, void display method in both the class, in both the classes, basically to print the values of matrix and vector. So these are very simple steps. Let me summarize them. First, we have to create two classes. Let us first come to our objective. What is our objective? We have to design a C++ classes. We have to design some C++ classes with static members, default arguments, and friend functions. Means in the same program, we have to demonstrate how we can use the different static members, how we use the default arguments, and how we use the friend function. This program, the aim of this program is to demonstrate these three things. I have already discussed what are the use of static keyword, what is the use of static keyword in our previous video. Those who have not watched that video, I advise them to first watch uh, that video, because it's a type of prerequisite for this program. And default arguments I have already discussed in the same video, in this video, and friend functions. We basically know that if we have how do we multiply a matrices, if we have a 3 into 3 matrix and 3 into 1 vector. Basically we are considering our array like this, 3 rows and 1 column. We are considering like this. So what will be our output? Our output will be 3 into 1 vector, right? So basically, if we have our matrix like this, suppose A1, A2, or suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is our matrix, and in reality, actually our array would be like this, 1, 2, 3, but we have to consider it like this, right? So how does matrix multiplication happens? This row and this column. So basically we have to multiply the first row with all the elements. Means 1 with the 1, 2 with the 2, and 3 with the 3. Like this, we have to do the matrix multiplication. So I think you have already. I'm able to explain you the logic behind this question, and now let's come to the programming part. In order to save the time, I have already coded the program in our online C++ compiler, and the code is as per our discussion. Okay, so like we just discussed, we have created two classes here. This is the forward declaration of vector class, so that compiler uh, would know that we are going to declare a class vector. Class matrix inside this class, as discussed in our logic. In each class, in both matrix and vector class, what we have done, we have created constructor for initialization, set matrix method for initializing the matrix and vector, friend function multiply, and display method to display the content of the matrix and vector. So we have given a static variable size, static constant variable size, initialized with 3. Here we have declared a matrix, two-dimensional matrix with size 3 into 3. This is our constructor. We know constructor is a special method that is used to initialize the class. The constructor is invoked automatically when the object of the class is created. This is the default value, as already discussed with you. So we have discussed the whole matrix with 0, 0. The second method is the set matrix method, where in this method we have passed a value matrix. This value matrix is like this. This is the matrix, and we have passed this matrix here in this set matrix method, and we initialize this our matrix with the values. Similarly, we have used display method, as it is a two-dimensional array. We are using our two for loops for displaying and taking the input and initializing. This is the friend function, as discussed. It is a friend of both the classes. In this, we are passing the reference of matrix class and vector class. In the vector class, we have done the same operations, same thing. This is the constructor, set vector method, display method. So this is basically the heart of the program, multiply method. You can notice that this multiply method is outside both the classes, but since it is the friend function of both the classes, it can use the private members of both the classes, right? So the logic is simple. What we are doing, this matrix is the private member of matrix class, and vector is the private member of vector class. So we need object of both the classes, m dot matrix I comma j, and vector. Since this is a column vector, the ith row, let me explain you this. we see this, I represents the row 0, 1, 2, and J represents the column 0, 1, 2. So this is the array or vector. So since it is a one dimensional, as it is a one dimensional array, the row number will be same 0 and column will be J 1, 2, 3. So we are using the J values basically. Okay. So what we are doing, we are multiplying it as matrix Ij with whom we are multiplying matrix Ij with vector J. Vector J. If you check, if the value of I is equal to 0, the J value will iterate over 1, 2, 0, 1 and 2. So all these three values will be multiplied with these three values. These three values will be multiplied with these three values, and these three values will be multiplied with these three values. So like this, the matrix multiplication will happen. And finally, this is our main method. We have supplied these uh, mat values and vector values to set the values of matrix and vector, and finally we are displaying the result. If I run this, the output is 14, 32 and 50. You can check, you can multiply. 1 into 1 is 1, 2 into 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 5 and 9. So 5 plus 9 is 14. So our first value is 14. Like this, you can check. So this is our question. Thank you. I hope you understood this. In the next video, I'll come with another topic. Thank you.